Chronicles of a Cast Member. Volume 1, The Tunnels. Hey there, dear listeners. I'm a cast member that works at the happiest place on Earth. Since I stepped foot into this magical kingdom, I've encountered more spookiness than I ever bargained for. If you're listening to this, it means I finally got the guts to share my experiences. I won't get into my exact position for privacy reasons, but I will admit that I usually work in the air conditioning, which makes me one of the more privileged cast members. Picture this: a ghostly parade marching through Liberty Square. Oh, and remember Treasure Island? That abandoned attraction that folks whisper about? Well, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to venture over there with a few other cast members. We didn't all make it back, but those are stories for another time. Today, I want to talk to you about the tunnels. For those unaware, there are underground tunnels throughout each Disney park, allowing for quicker travel. The other fresh-faced cast members and I had just finished sitting through orientation, where our instructor had emphasized the importance of the buddy system. Remember, she warned with a slight smile, if you don't choose a buddy, Disney World will choose one for you. Nervous chuckles spread amongst the group of us as everyone began to pair up. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember the name of the person I buddied up with back then. He was relocated to a different park shortly after orientation, leaving me buddyless. But I wasn't too worried about it. After all, how spooky could the tunnels really be? I managed to go an entire week without going into the tunnels alone, even without an official buddy. Face characters and their buddies always appreciated the extra help when I tagged along. Plus, the tunnels stayed pretty busy in general during park hours. But all good things come to an end, and one night I found myself in the tunnels alone. It was past midnight, and there were no extra magic hours that night, so the park was empty. Most of my fellow cast members had finished their shifts and left. Taking a deep breath, I reminded myself that I had been in the tunnels multiple times before. There was no difference between then and now, except now I would be alone. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease creeping up my spine as I began to descend into the darkness below. The tunnels are a maze of interconnecting paths. They're lit, but after park hours, the lights are put on power save mode, so the corridors are quite a bit dimmer than normal. I went ahead and turned on my flashlight as the sound of my footsteps echoed throughout the space, amplifying the feeling of isolation. Attempting to shake off my growing sense of apprehension, I quickened my pace. I needed to reach the other side of the tunnels to return the maintenance keyring to its rightful place in the office. It was my last duty for the day, and I had already accidentally taken the keyring home once. I was not about to get chewed out for that again. But just as I thought I was making progress, an odd noise screeched from behind me. My breath caught in my throat as I whipped around with my flashlight. For a moment, I thought I saw a fleeting shadow dart out of sight, but when I illuminated the area, there was nothing there. I hesitated before calling out, "Is someone else down here?" My voice echoed down the tunnels, reverberating back to me. The oppressive silence that followed my question sent a shiver down my back. I swallowed hard and continued moving, trying not to think about who or what could have made that noise. The winding passageways seemed endless, and my nerves were fraying with each step. I could hear it more clearly now, the noise behind me. Whoever was stalking me was taking advantage of the echo of my footsteps. But there was a sound, like a slight dragging of feet, that told me the steps I was hearing were not my own. Whatever it was getting closer now, quickening its pace. At this point, it barely bothered to match my steps as it closed the distance between us. I heard a strange, wet noise from behind me and an eerie clicking. I was one breath away from breaking out into a run when I saw something ahead of me. A light. "Hey!" Another cast member came jogging up. "You okay? These tunnels can be a workout sometimes." I realized I must have been sweating and panting. "Yeah," I lied. "Just in a hurry to get over to the maintenance office and get home." "I'll walk with you," she replied with a warm smile. Her shiny metal ID badge said her name was Kate. She must have worked here for a while. The new cast member badges were plastic. I was awash with relief as Kate escorted me expertly through the tunnels, showing me shortcuts that I hadn't learned yet. Either the noises had stopped, or I simply couldn't hear them over the sound of our banter. She was very funny, and I found myself in stitches as we finally made it to the maintenance office. I hung up the keyring next to its siblings, locked the office door behind me, and sighed happily. My thoughts of home were replaced with curiosity as Kate looked at me with a mischievous glint in her eye. You know, now that you've survived your first solo trip through the tunnels, how about I show you some secret spots that only a few of us know about? She grinned expectantly. I had to admit, it was hard to resist. The tunnels felt safe again, and by this point I had fully convinced myself that I had imagined the frightening encounter earlier. Sure, I replied. Lead the way. Kate took my hand and led me further into the labyrinth of tunnels. Our first stop was a narrow passage that branches off from the main tunnel. The narrow tunnel led to a hidden alcove, obscured by a tapestry. This is one of my favorites, she whispered, pulling the tapestry aside to reveal a secret nook with a dusty mirror. Legend has it that this mirror is enchanted. Or was it haunted? Anyway, it used to be one of the attractions in the line while you wait for the Seven Dwarfs mine train. But then so many customers complained about seeing weird stuff, it got replaced with an LED screen. I peered into the ancient-looking mirror. The frame of the mirror was an ornate masterpiece, its edges adorned with delicate carvings that referenced the story of Snow White, the unmistakable shape of the poison apple, pickaxes and mining tools, various forest animals. It was beautiful, and I thought to myself how much of a shame it was that the glass of the mirror itself was so cracked and dusty. Guess the ghosties aren't coming out to play then, I said as Kate fixed the tapestry back over the alcove. But as the words came out of my mouth, I caught a glimpse of my own reflection in the glass. As I blinked, my reflection seemed to wink at me, my eyes briefly changing to a bright white before the image was obscured by the tapestry. My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly glanced over at Kate. Did you see that? I asked, a touch of uncertainty in my voice. See what? She replied, raising an eyebrow curiously. Oh, it's probably just my imagination, I muttered. Kate chuckled, giving me a knowing grin. I told you the mirror has a way of playing tricks on you. Come on, let me show you the museum. She took my hand again and off we went. She led me through the tunnels more quickly now. Perhaps she could sense my trepidation, as my mind had gone back to fantasies of cozying up on my couch. But she didn't even break a sweat as she moved quickly and silently ahead of me through the corridor. Meanwhile, I was completely out of breath by the time we reached the shadowy wooden door that was our destination. This is our little hidden museum, Kate explained as she opened up the creaky door. Only a few cast members know about it. It's like a time capsule of Disney World's past. I marveled at the size of the room as Kate guided me through. Her smile never faded as she shared intriguing tidbits about the artifacts we encountered. Vintage sketches of beloved characters, displays of park maps that evolved through the years. All sorts of vintage memorabilia. Each item held a story of its own, a tangible connection to the countless memories created by parkgoers throughout the years. I got choked up thinking about all the history and happy memories contained in this room. Next, she led me to a wall full of paintings of iconic moments from Disney films and attractions. The scenes were rich in detail, and I stood there speechless until Kate broke the silence. These paintings were created by some of Disney's most talented artists and Imagineers, Kate said with admiration, and here, she gestured to the large portrait in the center, is supposedly where Walt's body is kept. I gasped. No way! Of course, all the cast members had heard the urban legend. Walt Disney, wanting to cheat death, had himself cryogenically frozen and entombed beneath Magic Kingdom. Kate shrugged. It's what they say. And look, she instructed me as she lifted one of the landscape paintings off the wall. All of the other paintings are removable. I reached out and pulled against the portrait of Walt. It was stuck, except for that one. Supposedly that painting is the secret entrance to Walt's tomb. She squinted at the frame of the portrait, as if looking for door hinges. I chuckled to myself. I doubt it. But I didn't mention the frigid breeze I had felt around the frame as I tugged on it. She led me past the final exhibit, a glass case containing journals and diaries belonging to Ubbe Works, the creator of Mickey Mouse. The museum had felt like a treasure trove of wonders, each artifact telling a different story. I thanked Kate for showing it to me as we exited. making our way slowly back towards the central set of tunnels leading to the parking lot. As I began to climb the stairs leading back to the world above, I heard Kate's soft voice behind me. "Be careful not to venture into the tunnels alone again," she whispered. "There are things down here that aren't as nice as me." Huh? I turned around to ask Kate what she meant, but to my surprise, she had vanished without a trace. "Kate?" I called out. "Where are you?" But the only reply was the lonely echo of my own voice once again. The next day, I asked around about Kate, but I couldn't find her. The days turned into weeks, and I assumed that I would naturally run into her again. But I never did, leaving me to wonder if she had been a figment of my imagination, or something more supernatural. I eventually got my answer when I came across an old group photo of the original group of cast members from when the park first opened. One of them, a bright-eyed woman with a kind smile, named Kate. And so, dear listeners, my journey through the spookiness of the happiest place on earth had just begun. I invite you to join me in the future as I share more of my spine-chilling experiences from my time in this magical kingdom.